Well, hello, everyone. Deborah Prinzing here. Welcome back to the Slow Flower Show. Today, we have such a special guest and topic. I want to welcome Ashley Greer of Atelier Ashley Flowers. Hi, Ashley.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
I know. I'm thrilled that we had a really good reason to talk. I've got lots of questions, but I think we should just start out the gate with the news. I don't know if
Taylor's
anybody...
engaged. He's engaged.
I mean, we've been looking for a reason to jump on the Taylor Swift engagement flowers story. And I really wanted just to be relevant to the Slow Flowers community. And you're a longtime Slow Flowers member. And here you are, quoted in People magazine and not one, but two articles this week, commenting as a floral expert about this, I don't know, dreamy secret garden engagement environment that we saw in all the photos. So tell me how that came together, Ashley.
Well, honestly, it's a long history of being media savvy. When I started my company, what I knew is that in order for people to take you seriously, you had to start becoming an expert. Yeah. And that means getting in publications or doing your local TV or kind of doing as much as you could. And so I've actually had a long history and special connection with People magazine. And I think the last floral expert article I did for them was maybe Kourtney Kardashian's engagement, where her and the Kardashians and Taylor Swift in the same sentence. That's like blasphemy. Sorry, I'm gonna roll that back because we only love Taylor. Well, whatever.
Well, what you're touching on is the celebrity engagement that people would be interested in.
Yes.
It's a wide range. It's royals. It's musicians. It's singers. So I get that.
Yeah, absolutely. And breaking these things down is very difficult because as florists, we don't all charge the same amount. So what I quote in this article, 38,000, is something that I would charge, as a seasoned luxury floral designer. But if you were a designer who was tapped to do it and you were younger or you're starting out, you might do it for a lot less. You might even just do it to be in the publication, and that would be worth it. So, yeah.
Wow. That's so interesting. So yeah, I noticed on your press page, you've been in Washington Post, you've been in lots of DC area publications, as well as
Martha Stewart
Martha Stewart weddings a couple times, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And People. And it's, I am so glad you mentioned about media savvy. I personally think you say yes to everything when the media calls. I'm come from the media. It always shocks me when I reach out to someone and then they don't respond, because I was taught the media is gold and you never blow them off. Case in point, I texted you yesterday. Actually, I emailed you yesterday and said, I know this is last minute, but would you be willing to talk? And you were right on it, Ashley.
As soon as I got it, like I said, I haven't been in my email, so I think you had sent it. And then as soon as I was going through, because I've been trying not to be so on my phone, I was like, yes, whatever. Yes, whatever it is. Yes, we make this work.
Yeah, I love that. But, and I also think that you're right. You're building a body of work with your voice out in the marketplace, sharing your expertise for free, really, with the media and their readers or listeners or viewers. And then all of a sudden,
not for free. It usually costs me something to do it, right? I mean, Today it was very last minute, so we brought it all together. But if I had had time to prepare for the piece, I would have made some designs. I might have had an arch or something like that. So not only is it free, but you're actually going to be kind of paying for it.
Wow. That's such a good point. Well, you still have some beautiful flowers in your studio, so I'm really glad about that.
It's Friday, so don't judge me.
And you're wearing your floral, complete head to toe floral. It's beautiful. That's a really good point. You do have to invest and consider that. It's considered a marketing investment, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so the editors at People emailed you probably right after we all saw the same post at the same time, and everybody.
My mom texted me. She's like, Taylor's engaged. I was like, oh my God. Sorry,
yes,
I'm a big fan.
That text went everywhere, and it really blew up. What Okay, you got the question. What did they ask you? What did they wanted you to? Because you're featured in two articles. I was going to. I'll share the link for
Mhm.
people. One is Taylor Swift's fairytale engagement flowers likely cost up to 38,000 and used over 2,000 blooms, says expert Ashley Greer, and the other is what Taylor Swift's stunning engagement flowers symbolize. And so
Mhm.
that's another story that kind of underscored your expertise in kind of the meaning and language of flowers. Did they ask you to comment on both of those things?
No, so they only asked me to comment on the what would the flowers cost, because in the past they've shown that that performs really well. And of course, magazines, they want people's attention, they want them to read their stories. And so we already knew that if you commented on how much it cost, how many flowers, all of those things, that that would sell magazines.
It would be a click. It would be clickbait,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And so when they asked me this time, the first time that they had done it, I had actually written the full articles, in my voice. And then when I sent it to them, I learned that they really just wanted the facts.
Mm.
So when I got the email, again, I was a little slow to getting the email, but as soon as I got it, I replied immediately, and I had already started working on it, even though they said, we reached out to another floral expert. And I was like, well, the more the better. And I'm working on this right now. So I knew what they wanted. Again, the more you do media, which is really important for your business, the more you learn what the organization wants. And so if you can make it easy to work with them and give them their information as quickly as possible, that's your best chance of being featured.
Okay, well, I'm just dying to know how you did this. I have the photos that I pulled literally from Instagram. We all saw these, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
pulling them up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so apologies to Instagram, and thank you to Taylor Swift because we're republishing your photos. Um, it, it was like on your phone, this little photo. How did you enlarge it to just
Well,
scrutinize?
yeah, so I screenshotted it like everybody else, and the photos really aren't a great quality, which I think is probably another intentional decision made by Taylor Swift. I think part of her whole thing is, yes, she is maybe the most famous celebrity in the entire world, but she is also a person, and she is considerate of her fans and what they could do. So honestly, she could have gone way more over the top with her proposal, but what she created is still high-end luxury, but it's also something that somebody could achieve their own look. If they I think this is set in their backyard. I think you can see their landscaping going through. So what I did was I screenshotted and I looked, and then I counted. I counted a pocket of flowers here and there, and then I added up all those pockets, and then I made my estimate based on what my experience is. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they used more flowers, but because that like it's always surprising how many flowers we use in something. You're like, oh my god, I just used 1,000 roses there, 1,000 roses there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually had more, but that was my best guess based on if I was trying to recreate this look.
Well, you you described the scene as an enchanted garden, which I love, and I was talking with our social media manager, Nisha Blancas, about this because she's, of course, tracking what everyone's doing on social media. And I said, Taylor has always has literary references, and I bet you she read Secret Garden as a child and loved that book. And that kind of imaginary world of a secret garden, as you said, enchanted garden, is probably inspired this.
And she has Secret Garden in one of her songs. She has a lot of these flowers in her song. Something I found really interesting was there were no daisies in this one, because that was maybe a past reference to another period of her life. And this one is all about romance and happiness and finding love.
Oh my gosh, you're such a Taylor expert compared to me. So,
Well, I think Taylor Swift is maybe second to my flower passion. I mean, I don't know how she does it, but she's in my mind before I am.
I mean, talk about bucket list as a wedding and event and luxury florist to have a chance to comment on this. I love it. Um, so you noted that Well, I'm going to quote you. It says, pulling imagery from so many of Taylor Swift's songs, a magical garden scene is constructed amidst August forest trees. And you commented on willow, ivy, and roses were all used for the setup. And so you had to really kind of, in your mind, deconstruct this installation and figure out, like, how would you do this for a client, and how you would use willow and you use greenery to build this arch and this sort of meandering path, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you estimated 800 pounds of greenery and 1,200 roses and at least 1,000 other flowers. I think you're right, Ashley. I think you're probably being a little conservative on your estimate.
Well, I'd rather be conservative on the estimate. Sometimes when I do these, I'm like, I hope the florist that actually did this is okay with it. I hope that they charge that much, or if they did it, they felt okay about it. I mean, with the pound of greenery, I thought, okay, well, how many boxes of 50-pound Smilex am I getting in to cover this portion, And so I would do that in my mind, and then I would go around, and then, all these other plants and things like that. So, it takes an incredible amount of product to create anything, something
Yeah.
like this, especially.
Yeah. Yeah. I wondered about that. I know of Smilax. I know it's American grown. It's Texas. A lot of times comes out of Texas or the South. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know it was sold by weight.
Oh
So
yeah, because they ship it to you. Well,
yeah.
you're anti-shipping, so
No, no, no. No, I mean, I
yeah,
have
no,
to.
they ship it to you, in these big cardboard boxes, and there's a plastic bag in there, and then you're just pulling out all of the Smilax, and it does go a long way, but she's got a really heavy draping of it on there.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
I went through that was my expert opinion.
Yeah. No, no, that's really helpful. And the thing about shipping is, um, we all have to, even believing in sourcing domestically, shipping is a factor because we don't have access to everything all the time in our own region. But this looks like these were you mentioned mostly from the South, probably
Mm-hmm.
to get from the South to, I don't know, a wholesaler in Kansas City, there was a bit of transportation involved. So
Yeah, I
no
mean,
surprise.
it's
Yeah.
just it mostly is a reality, especially depending on the seasonality of things. What I think is really great, especially in terms of slow flowers, is there's a lot of limelight hydrangea in there, and there are these surprise snake lilies in there, and those are really seasonal blossoms, right? And so it's fun to look at these seasonal. I'm sure they're local grown. I bet they were in their yard. Like, can't you
Mhm.
just imagine them going through and being like, we need this hydrangea and we need this snake lily will be perfect here, and just kind of adding it in? Because when you look at the other flowers, you're looking at, I think, a lot of imported blooms, the roses and the delphinium. They could possibly be local at this time of year, but
Right.
we don't know.
Right. I really appreciated you calling out the concrete planters because, back to your point about Taylor, and by the way, we don't know if Taylor created this. I heard another thread going on where did this on his own and then surprised her. Do you believe that?
I mean, it's possible that he did it on his own, because I think it is what a man might pick out for romance. I don't know. I would guess there's some combination between the two. But if he did a really good job.
Yeah, I love it. Well, you talking about the urns though, and the limelight hydrangea, the roses, the delphinium, and the lilies in the urn. That is sort of a recipe. Then now somebody could recreate this. Uh,
Absolutely.
Maybe just go to the garden center and buy limelight hydrangea plants, and then put those in an urn, and then add the cut flowers. I could see this happening. Um,
And I think
Going,
that that's again part of the intentionality of what she does. Like, again, she's a superstar. She can do anything she wants, but she they've done something that anybody really can do.
yeah, yeah, because she seems so connected with her fans, and so just almost respectful of them in terms of how much she shares and how she involves them in her whole tour and all of that. So I love it.
I think it's about cultivating mutual respect too, because her fans really, really care about her. And so when she tries to be like, I need some privacy, I think the fans try to do it because she does give so much all the time.
That's a really good point. This is the last photo in the Instagram. I'm not going to show the diamond. That's a whole other conversation. My
Yes.
God, so
Now, I am
gorgeous.
not an expert on diamonds, unfortunately. I
Too
wish I
bad.
was.
Maybe you need to do some research on those and,
I,
sell
I
your.
think I think I'll stick with flowers and Taylor. That's enough.
Right, right. Well, so this is like a pergola of some kind
Mhm.
that must be in the backyard because I see the brick floor is already installed.
I don't know. I was trying to decide if not. Just because I was looking at the metal poles, they look very much like something a florist would bring in. So
Mm,
I don't
mm.
know this for sure, but I would guess the brick patio, the landscaping had been there. I would think that they brought in the pergola to create the look, even if they just did the front entrance piece. But I'm not sure just based on that kind of aluminum metal piping situation.
That's true. If someone had a installed pergola, it would be
It would be
um,
wood or it'd be iron or it
right.
most likely wouldn't be that metal.
The chandelier is really dreamy too, though. I really like that.
It is,
That
but again, they could have gone more over the top with it. So I would guess that they picked a local florist and they probably didn't tell them what was going on, and they created something beautiful.
I love it. Anything else you want to mention about these designs before we toggle away from the beautiful secret garden look?
I
I
think
just
I would just emphasize, how you really can create this on your own. And with the flowers that are coming forward, a lot of that is probably landscaping, but then individual blooms are tucked in to create the overly floral look.
yes, I agree. It's wonderful. And it's wonderful because of course we live in the world of trends and predictions and talking to clients. And I mean, how many Pinterest boards have you had to look at in your lifetime?
Not as many as I used to, honestly. Not as many as I used to.
Well, let's talk about that. So, when I first met you, you were doing a lot of wedding and event
Weddings and
design.
events only. Only
Okay.
weddings and events. After 15 years of retail floristry, with mixed in that, when I had my son, I found out just how difficult it was to stay home. And so that's when I created my business. And it was going to be weddings and events only. And that was until COVID. And I lost my entire business.
Wow.
Most wedding florists that were around during that time, I mean, it was awful because I think mostly florists are good people. So we want to do the right thing. So, we're giving back deposits, we're releasing people from their contracts. I did a wedding 3 years later after it was booked. So I completely stopped after.
That deposit is long gone.
Well, I fulfilled any obligation, any contracts that I still had on the books, but during COVID, I switched immediately to doing home flower design because flowers are in my soul, they're in my blood. I can't not have flowers. And it was a perfect time because everybody was home. So and I was the only one on the road, like me and my flowers on the road to do a contactless drop off at somebody's door that's never ordered flowers before.
Wow.
And so that was kind of the next version of my business.
And
And then,
that model still works then today, pretty much.
well, it still works. However, I switched again. I had a business partner with me who really, she was 50-50. She ran the business and I just got to be the creative. And then she moved to Hawaii. And it was kind of like, okay, we need to change something because I can't sustain this volume without her. And so I moved immediately to subscription only. And so now I only have 50 clients in the DC area. I will tell you that they're the 50 best clients in the DC area.
Oh my gosh, Ashley, that's amazing.
It's really, really special, but we had built up, Instagram trust and following. And then I just had some great clients who then shared me with other clients. And, these 50 clients, they also have parties and things like that. So it's not like they're just most of them are not getting just one bouquet a week. They're also then entertaining on a regular basis.
Yeah, I wanted to pop up your account, your website, because the very first menu item is subscription wait list, and that
Yeah.
kind of it, just the way you use that terminology adds a little bit of rarity. Like, oh, can I get on the wait list? So,
And we've had a couple clients come off of our subscribers, but I haven't actually added anybody from the wait list in several months. Though as September's approaching, I'm toying with the idea of bringing in some new clients, but right now I'm so spoiled because I know what my clients' tastes are. I know where they live. I know what they like. I know what they're allergic to. And it makes my life quite delightful.
well, you have on here frequency, a duration, price point, start date, and recipient. So even within the subscription, you're giving people some flexibility. What kind of, you say on here the general range is 250 to 400 per arrangement. Is that
Mm-hmm.
just sort of just to let people know what they're getting in for?
Exactly, because a lot of flower subscriptions are at a lower price point, but I don't send out a bouquet that's under 250. That's my minimum bouquet for delivery. And, the price range, I actually haven't looked at this page in a long time. I need to go back and revisit it because I think I need to update it.
I'm in love with, I sat and scrolled, Ashley. You're cranking out a credible volume of unique designs. There's not a single one that's like the other, and these are beautiful. And these are an example of what you would do for a residential client then.
Yep, absolutely. Though a lot of the residential clients will have their own vases and their own spaces. So, they are slightly more tailored, but this is what I would send out for, a subscription. What date do you want it? What colors do you want it? What style do you want it? And something I find really interesting is a lot of clients will come to me originally wanting the more tight, compact style. And then they'll go, oh, I want to try like a round and bouncy. And they try that. And they're like, oh, okay, well, I want to try a wild and free. And then they get stuck on the wild and free. Funny.
I'm looking at this one here. I don't know if people can see it, but it's just a stilby, basically. Maybe there's some hydrangea in there, but that's so uncommon. They would never get that.
And again, that is for some of my subscription clients are weekly clients. And that, I like to do those for the weekly clients because it's a bit refreshing, right? To just see something different. And also just your eye can kind of settle on one type of flower in a different way than it can on the other one. So if I know that they are kind of maybe high powered or have a lot of stress in their life, I try to create flowers that are going to enhance the tranquility of their life.
I love that. Well, you're kind of alluding to the soulfulness of flowers, and that really was number one. That's part of your expertise. I saw that the Washington Post interviewed you about the meaning of flowers several years ago, but also this second article that people did about the meaning. So,
which is one that I kind of pitched. So they came for that, and I said, well, also we should do this because you can't get enough of Taylor Swift, and because the meaning of flowers, knowing it can kind of change your life. When you need some specific energy. And even if you don't believe that the flower actually gives you that, just the intention of kind of meditating on a bloom. Okay, this yellow sunflower is going to make me a little happier, and this rosemary is going to help me remember my grandmother who's passed, or tuberose, something like that, or whatever it is and whatever you're looking for. And so I actually have a whole line of bouquets I call my magic bouquets. And it's for each month, they are specific flowers and a specific design, and it's designed to work with the energy of the month. So January is much different than August.
It's a value add as a designer because your client comes to you basically for a vase filled with beautiful flowers, which they're getting from you. But then you're weaving in this story where I think they feel like, oh, this is self-care.
Oh,
this is, wellness.
It's the health and wellness intersection. And, what is really interesting is that not everybody wants to send flowers as a gift, right? but a lot of people will send a magic bouquet because it's more than just flowers. It is the thought and the intention and the hope that the energy really will make a difference.
Well, I kind of thought about if Taylor read this article in People magazine, she probably was so pleased that you called out these meanings that somewhat related to some of her themes in her songs, or maybe what we know about, her past romantic life. And like, this is so affirming to see that these flowers are aligned.
Well, I mean, and part of that is I probably sent a longer list, but in the media, we do choose things that help fit our narrative, right? Like you can choose from all different things. So I'm sure that they selected a couple that really did resonate with who Taylor is and what's in her songs. Plus, it really helps that I am a Swiftie, so I could draw attention knowing what she had in her songs, roses or ivy or willow, whatever it is.
Oh, you're a Swiftie, so you know the lyrics better than
Oh
most
yeah.
people.
Yeah. No, like I know not all of them, but I would say like 70%.
Oh, Ashley, that's so cool. I love that. No, I think
In
your
fact, I
show.
made a playlist. I'll share it with you for the show notes.
Oh, wow. Tell me about that.
Well, I called it the Taylor in me just because this last 6 years, ever since kind of COVID before have been very difficult years.
Yeah.
And it seems how every time I'm going through something, she's got a song for it. In fact, I find it almost annoying because I'm like, get out of my head. So when she got engaged, it also kind of felt like the end of that era in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went through all of her albums and I picked out all the songs that have been most meaningful to me and I put them in a playlist.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love it. We have to share that. Is that like on Spotify or something?
It is on Spotify.
Okay. So that means anybody can access that.
Yep, anybody can access it. I might change the name or the thing, but right now it's called The Taylor in Me.
That, and yes, I love it. You've personally curated it, and it probably will mean a lot to the Floral peers who have been through the same bad 6 years that we've all had.
It's been a lot. It's been a challenging time. I don't think we even really feel like we're necessarily on the other side of it, just because current political climate that we won't talk about is you can't settle. Right. Everything is in flux. And so in the floral and event industry world, we feel those because it depends on if our clients are booking parties or not booking parties, if they have the money to book the party or they don't.
Bless your heart. I know. I feel for you. So you're coming to us from your studio. Is it in your home? Because you're in Alexandria, Virginia, right?
I am. So I worked out of my home. And in fact, my most productive years were out of my home. All the way up until I've been in the studio space for 2 years now, but I'm actually looking to get back out of it because I was happier in my home. Mm-hmm. You can work on flowers at all times of the night or bits and pieces throughout your day in a way that having a separate location is not as conducive to it.
Well, I would imagine too, because you have these subscriptions, you can kind of predict what your week is like.
Oh yeah.
So you don't, if you have to stop what you're doing at home and go to the studio, it just might be, less fluid.
We got the studio space when my flower partner was still with me, with the idea that we're going to just grow, right? Like that's when you go into business, you think, okay, I'm only going to go this way. That's what you do. And so, when I lost her, I had to really think about how I wanted my life to look and what I wanted it to look like. And I didn't want to run this big company. So the space that we got to intend to grow in, we're not. And so I want to move back into my house where I can do flowers whenever I want. And, you don't have all the overhead.
Absolutely. And you hear the term downsize, but I think what you're talking about is right size. You're sizing the business to fit your lifestyle, and I guess that also means, like you said, lower the overhead, but maybe not requiring a lot of employees. I mean, you're kind of a one-woman show, or?
No, I still have a staff. It's not as big as it was at that time. At that time, I think I had about 12 people working for
Okay.
me. Now I have, I think, about 4 people, but it's very flexible. So
Okay.
I have a lot of moms that work for me, so they can do it in the time that's convenient for them. And I have a psychic that also works for me and does flowers, which is an added benefit. So
I love.
actually his name is Aster, and
Oh,
I went to him for a reading like a long time ago. But when you're a floral business owner, you're always filing people away. You're like, they might need extra work at some point. And I know we're always having people come and go, for various reasons. So I filed that away because he's got great energy. So I filed it away, and then, when an opening came up, I think a couple of the moms were taking off for the summer, and I said, "Hey, Aster, do you want to come in and work with me?" And so he's been here for about a year and a half now.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
It's wonderful. Well, I failed to get to the outline that I always follow, but I have a couple more things I want to talk with you about before we wrap up. One is, you mentioned that you had come out of a conventional retail flower shop and before
Mhm,
you started your studio. Can
mhm.
you just kind of walk us through your journey to where you are today? And do you feel like what you've done prepared you for your current business model?
Oh, absolutely. So, it's kind of the long story, but as a child, always picking flowers as a child. My first job that I got before I went to college was in a flower shop here in the DC area, and that was a FTD teleflora shop. And so also I was 18, so I swept the floors, I gridded the thing, I glued things, I did the point of sales. I did all of those things. I didn't even know what a high-end flower shop was. Like, that was high end, because my flowers before that had been coming from Giant, or the grocery store. And so that was kind of my first real flower shop job. And then I went to school at Pomona College in Southern California, and Pomona is actually the goddess of fruit and harvest and all that, so it was perfect. And there they had these orchards and rose gardens, so I played. And I did actually work at an English garden flower shop when I was a freshman, just briefly. So I got another set of experience, retail, helping design, a different style of design. And then I graduated and I came back home with my degree in art history, and I was going to work in museums. But it was too cold and it was too isolating, and I wanted to work with flowers. So, Craigslist, I found a flower shop. It was, at the time, the hot new flower shop. They had been credited with bringing like the tight compact style. And this is when that was still contemporary modern flower design.
Right. So early 2000s, probably.
Yeah,
Right?
so 2007 to
Uh-huh.
2007, 2006, 2007. And so I worked there for about 5 years until I maxed out what I could do there, right? Like, so, I learned this. It was a very specific style of design, which is why it was so successful, because people could come there and get exactly that. But, and I was doing weddings for them, and I started teaching classes, but they didn't pay me more money. And, you get
Yeah.
to the point where you've maxed out your creative, what you can do creatively, and you've maxed out your budget, right? So at that time, Laura Dowling was the White House florist, which I'm sure
Right.
you know. And
Right.
so for a while, I volunteered with her in the White House flower shop under Obama. But that didn't end up working out as a permanent job. And so I had started a silk flower business, but silk flowers weren't for me. And I ended up at another flower shop learning more about the business at that flower
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
And so after another 5 or so years there, I had a child and I was going to stay home. And it was really, really hard. It was really hard work. And I was like, this isn't for me. I love my child, but I need the flowers back in my life. And that was when I started my business.
I
And so
see.
it was really nice because, again, I was working in the home. So I was still there and I was
Yeah.
present with him, but I was also engaging creatively and intellectually.
Yeah. And your art history training is exactly the best training for being in homes with people's art, their antiques, you're trying to interpret their environment and give them flowers that are kind of enhance that. So it's just perfect overlap.
And I'm lucky because there are some gorgeous personal art collections in DC.
Yeah.
I had one client, she's like, okay, we don't keep the art here all the time, but we're having this party. So we've brought it from, storage. And it was like all these masterpieces. And I'm just like, I can't even believe my flowers are in the same room with some of this art. And thank you for the tour.
Oh, I love it. Pinch me. So going forward, you said they're maybe going to move out of this studio, get back at home. I think that'll be really grounding for you.
Yeah.
If you have the space, it sounds like you do, because
it's enough. You don't need a lot of space. I
Mhm.
mean, I think especially when we're starting, and when I first started, I really wanted a studio space because you're like, okay, that's going to give me authority that, people
Yes.
will know I'm serious. But
have a sign on the front door kind of thing.
yeah, and everything is going to be pretty and we're going to have the best of everything, but it's really not necessary. What's really necessary is that you create good flowers. So, in my home, it's actually a pretty small house. It's a townhouse. And I have a little backyard, but we made the basement the flower spot. And again, this isn't a big house, so small basement, low ceiling. And then eventually we then had a little setup with card tables and computers for Jill to work at. And like on my mantle, I would line the flowers up or in the windows. I think one of the most important things if you do a home studio is to have a space dedicated to taking pictures of your flowers, because that's what made my business successful. It wasn't like, oh, I need to have a last minute, where am I going to put this? It was a dedicated spot by the window with a backdrop that was always ready to go. And
I was going to comment on that. There's such consistency in your photography with that little vignette.
Yep.
There's maybe a pedestal or something that you're putting every arrangement on.
Yep.
The light is obviously really good.
Well, and you have to use natural light.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
that, I mean, people will ask me, the biggest rule is natural light. You can't have any electric light on or it's going to give it that glow, that tint. I mean, if you're faced with the possibility of taking flowers with electric light or not taking them, take it with the electric light. But the best thing that you can do for yourself is just have one spot set up, just one spot, because, we're busy. It's just, it's 30 seconds.
And you've just built that into your behavior where it doesn't go out the door until you photograph it.
Yeah.
And that's why your website is so prolific, because there's hundreds of choices for people to say, maybe to give you some feedback and say, well, I kind of like that combination. Or you used orchids with roses. I like that.
No, we're not doing that anymore.
Okay, good.
It's pick a color scheme, pick a style. There we go.
Okay, I apologize. I don't want to put you in that. And that's good. I'm glad to hear that, because that's part of your brand, that people have to trust you and know you're going to give them something beautiful.
And I really don't, again, this is a luxury that I've gained after 25 years in the business, right? It doesn't start this way.
You've earned this.
And my prices didn't start this way. Even with COVID, my bouquet started at $100. And I was like, oh, that's a lot. But you just have to create, and you have to take photos of it and try to make it a little better every time.
Are you getting your flowers delivered to you, or are you going to the wholesale market? I mean, I know it's probably a hybrid.
It is. It's mostly getting delivered to me. I do Potomac Wholesale Floral is my main floral. I work with Jeff, who is the buyer over there, and the people are great. And I've been working with them again since I was 27 years old. And there are some other wholesalers. Like I really like Lynn Vale Studios. She's a local farmer who I'm sure her flowers are absolutely gorgeous. And there's another local seller, Bob Woolham Gardens. And I try to use those when I can. But it is easier for me to just say, and my rep lets me text him, and he lets me text him at like 11:30 at night. Like, it is highly inappropriate, but he lets me do it, and I get away with it, and I get beautiful flowers. And I know a lot of people have different issues, this and that, but you
live and breathe on, live and die on relationships. And so you're that kind of florist for your clients. Therefore,
my reps are that kind of person
yes,
for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you will start seeing a lot of these secret garden images from
Oh yeah.
Taylor Swift's engagement on Pinterest boards? Or I know you're not doing a lot of weddings, but will people be interested in this vibe? And what do you
Oh,
think
it's
it's going
not,
to
that's not
mean?
even a question. I mean, sorry, florist, this is what you're looking for for like the next 5 years, right? And I think I'm sure we all have images. I have images that look like this from the past because it's something classic. Which is again what she also does is she taps into these kind of classic archetypal images, the secret garden. We all know what that is, even if we don't know what that is. And so it has been done prior, and I know I'm going to be going through and finding all my photos and doing that, and I think we can see it for the foreseeable future.
The one comment I saw online was, "Well, there's no orange in this palette."
I
So,
know for the life of the showgirl, I have my nails done showgirl orange.
so maybe orange will work its way into some palettes, but it'll be with pink and white and green, greenery and
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we can expect to see a lot of floral displays leading up to it because there are so many events that are part of, the engagement. So that's the first thing. And then there's family dinners and, bachelorette parties and all of that stuff. So I think we can see different eras of flowers in the future. I would guess, I don't know, I would guess they do something kind of classic for the wedding.
I mean, they could elope, and none of us will ever see the
I
photos.
think they're probably already married, but I don't know. I mean, that's just conspiracy theory, okay?
I think anything's possible, and we just wish her well. And we're so grateful that, in a way, what Taylor's gift to the floral industry is that she's elevated flowers to the top trending topic of the week, and hopefully for the foreseeable future.
Well, and I think not only that she's elevated flowers, but her choice is again something that other people can do.
Yeah.
They're elevated, but they're accessible.
Right, right. It's not like I don't know, you see these really lavish floral built rooms being built for fashion shows and runways, and like that is an engineering feat. And
Oh yeah.
this is not that.
No, it's not that. And in fact, I think in a lot of ways we're moving away from that trend just because it's been done. Like
Yeah.
it felt like there was a build up to these really elaborate, over the top, and I'm sure we'll still see those in some other countries, but it's almost becoming it's not exciting the way it used to be. And so I think we'll see lots more events that are really about the intention of the couple and creating it something intimate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think your comment just about weaving in the personal through what the meaning of flowers, says to a couple or to a client, I think that also resonates with something you said before we started recording when you were talking about local flowers having kind of a spirit or a
An
soul.
aura, the aura of authenticity. They have
Yeah.
the aura of authenticity, which and it's not to say that South American roses don't have that, but they are mass produced in a way, right? Like
Yeah.
they've got all of the technology, all of the everything. It's on top. It's just it's done in more of an assembly line
Yeah. Yeah.
production rather than. And I know this isn't true for all local farmers. Some local farmers are very sophisticated, but it's that relationship of the gardener or the grower really with their flowers and the passion that comes through, and the unique variety, right? So maybe we're
Yeah.
going to get some toad lilies in there
Yeah.
or something else that we don't know the name of, but it's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, I think that's part of the storytelling too. Like you're not doing weddings so much anymore, but you're telling your clients the meaning of flowers. Maybe you'll start weaving more into the seasonality or where the flowers come from, if they're that kind of client.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and I do have those clients. The bottom line is always the bottom line. So
Yeah.
what we can do with that is within those parameters. But again, I do have a little bit more flexibility, so I use local flowers whenever I can.
Mm. This has been so much fun, and I thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
just jumping on and giving us the play-by-play, the commentary.
No, it's
Um,
exciting.
it's very exciting. Congratulations, and thank you for generously sharing with the Slow Flowers community here. When we post this, I'd love to share a gallery of some of your favorite arrangements that you've made recently. So
Absolutely.
we'll see what we can get. Maybe we'll find one of those secret garden photos you think you remember.
I will. I know where I have a whole secret garden door. It looks just like that actually. So I will find that. But you just asked me yesterday, and I've been doing things.
You're amazing. Ashley, if you were asked to design Taylor's bridal bouquet, what would you put in it?
Ooh, wow. Well, I would have to know what her vision is, right?
Okay.
So I would have to know what her vision is. But I would probably take it from royal inspiration. I'd do a little myrtle in there. I would do some ivy for fidelity. I'm sure I would have some lily of the valley in there. Guardian. I don't know. I should have been prepared for that question. But I think I would probably take inspiration for royalty because she's our people's princess.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I love that you're already kind of just immediately thinking of what's appropriate and because you know the music so well, you know what the reference is. So, Ashley, thank you so much. We'll share all your resources in our show notes at slowflowerspodcast.com and have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.